All right, guys. So here is what's going to be the stage here for the next video. What I've done that you probably haven't seen, or that looks a little different, I did not show the part where I actually dyed all the other wood, because of course I had finished the face. As you can see, I taped the face completely off, and the neck, just the fretboard to keep those protected. Here you might be able to see a little better that way. So taped off to protect those. I dyed the entire thing brown like this with my leather dye, and I actually liked the way the dark headstock looked, so I decided to keep that. So I'm honestly just going to probably finally sand it just a little bit, and I'm working on trying to put some kind of logo in here. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but basically I like the dark look on this, so I did not sand that back because I liked it, but the whole body was dyed all brown just like this, and I have sanded it completely back. Well, not completely, but quite a bit. I've sanded it back to basically where you can now see how much more highlighted that grain is. If you look back at some of the other videos looking at the how light this wood was, that dark brown really helps enhance the grain. This video is about to be an interesting one, kind of scary, but we're gonna see what happens, because basically this is where I'm kind of at a, not really, but pretty much practically at a point of no return once I do this next step, which is going to be mixing up some more of my honey brown or honey golden, honey amber, that's what I was looking for, honey amber dye, and covering the back and sides and the neck with that color, because that was the decision I decided to go with, and we're about to hopefully see it pay off and look really good. The only thing I need to do real quickly is I'm going to tape off the headstock. I need to cover that up, basically just so I don't get any splash over of the color from the other side onto my nice brown headstock. Like I said, I liked that look here, so just gonna real quickly get this guy taped off. I'm gonna use my X-Acto knife to trim off the excess so that it actually fits, you know, to the form of the curves and stuff. I'm basically just trying to leave a good amount of overlap, you know, make longer pieces. A good amount of overlap so that it's easy to go around the edges and trim with the X-Acto knife. Apologies if this part's boring. I will throw a timestamp in the description for you to jump past this little part here if you'd like, or you can just fast forward a few seconds until you see that I'm done. But there we go. Got all the tape on there. And just take my X-Acto knife, follow the edges here. Okay, there we go. So headstock taped off there. So now I can not worry too much about getting any of my orange dye in or on the headstock there. Okay, so it's kind of procrastinating because this is going to be a big step. I really hope that it turns out like I wanted it to. We're going to see though. So using just a little Tupperware tub. Got my denatured alcohol, which is, again, as I stated in a previous video, this is what they recommend to dilute this dye with. Just gonna pop a little bit of that, not too much. And I don't know if you can see, but I am wearing my mask because, again, this stuff has nasty fumes. It's not great. There was already a little bit of dried dye in here, so I'm just kind of mixing that up. And here we go. I'm just going to add a few drops until I get the coloring I'm looking for. A few little squirts there. Good reminder, I just got some on my hands. I really should have been wearing my gloves already, so I'm going to quickly throw some gloves on because I already got a little Oompa Loompa flavoring on me. Okay, gloves are on. Just shaking off some excess dye there. And let's go ahead and mix this up. And I'm just going to get a quick little glimpse of what my color looks like. That's about pretty good. I think I need just a little more to get the tint I'm going for. So I'm just going to splash a little bit more in there. Looks like I got what I'm looking for there. Got that just a little bit darker, a little bit more intense. So, all right, well, here goes the moment of truth. I'm using the same little strip of t-shirt material, headband material that I had previously used, dipping it in just to completely saturate it, squeezing out all the excess, because you don't want to put a ton of, you don't want this to get soaked, you just want to be able to apply it. So here goes nothing. Pretty nice looking little golden brown there. So that's my first coating. It looks good. I like it. I probably will come back and do a second coat, just a little darker than this one. I think I want it just a little bit more intense on this, but we'll see. I'm just gonna gauge it once it has a chance to sit for a minute. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna hit all of our spots here. Got the back of the body. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the neck now. Oh, that looks really good on the neck. I really like that. Yeah, I really, really like the way this looks on this neck. I definitely love the way that looks. I may not be able to get this next part in the shot all the way. I'm gonna try, but I'm gonna stand the guitar up so that I can get the top part of the horns and the neck. So hopefully you can maybe still see that okay. Got the top area and the horns done. Okay, and now get the sides and the bottom. This little box here to prop up the back so that I can get to it without having to set anything on the die. So the bottom part's gonna have to get to it. So I'll just set it up like this. that's my first coat done, and I'm pretty happy with it. I really like the way it looks on the neck. The grain on that neck is really good. I mean, I like it here too. I don't know. I'm gonna let it sit because when it actually dries, the color will change a little slightly. So I'm gonna let it sit for a little while, come back to it after it's kind of dried up, and it'll lighten up just a little bit. Kind of give me a better idea of the actual coloring that it's done. So I'm gonna pause for now, just let this sit, and we'll come back to it here in a few and see what we look like. All right, guys, so the guitar has been left to dry for quite some time now, a couple hours. I went ahead and removed all of the tape everywhere so I could get a full look of what everything looks like and just really kind of gauge if I needed to put anything else on coat-wise or darken the color or anything like that. And honestly, after pulling the tape, I am super satisfied with it. The honey brown on the back sides and everything came out really good. I like the way it looks with my front face here. The only thing I think I'm gonna do after looking at it here for a minute is I'm going to, similar to how the headstock stayed with the dark brown color, I believe I'm gonna go ahead and take that same look over here to the horns, basically because I just want to add a little bit more definition to those curvatures there. So I'm going to tape off the back side here and the back part here. Hopefully you can see that here. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm going to tape off, and I'm only going to color in these areas here with the little carve outs. And basically just to emphasize those horn curves just a little bit, instead of how they kind of, not super badly blend in, but I just wanted a little bit more distinction on them. So I'm going to quickly tape those up. I'm going to pause the video. I'm not going to let y'all or make y'all watch that process, but I'm just going to tape up to get my lines right. And then I'm going to take my brown dye and go ahead and color those horns in. So I will show y'all that part of it, but I'm not going to bother with showing the taping. So hang tight and we'll get right back. All right, we're back here. Got my horns taped up, trimmed away the tape to match the curves so that I could get a pretty precise job done. Hopefully we'll have to do minimal touch-ups on it. But yeah, so there's the horns all taped up. What I'm gonna do, because I don't want it to be as dark as this stuff is by itself, I want it to be a little bit lighter. So what I'm gonna do is dilute my leather dye with a little bit of this denatured alcohol that I used for my orange dye, or my honey dye. So go ahead and pop my denatured alcohol in there. Ugh, this stuff is nasty. Okay, so we got my denatured alcohol in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and drop some of my brown dye. Go ahead and mix this up. It's nice and mixed. Color looks good. What I'm going to use actually for this little applicator thing came with the, what do you call it, came with the leather die. This is the applicator they provide to use for like little spots or like touch-up spots or detail spots. So I'm gonna go ahead and use it as my applicator for this. So here we go. Let's see if that does the job of darkening it the way I'm hoping it will, but it actually looks like it might not. I may have to just go with just the dye and then sand it back in order to get my desired look here. It's not bad. I think maybe I just need to put a little bit more dye in. And you know what? I'm sorry, I'm just kind of doing this on the fly for a lot of this stuff like y'all seen. I don't like this little applicator thing. It soaks too much in and doesn't allow me to, I can't really squeeze it out even though I'm trying. A little too much, a little too liquidy. So I am going to just go back with my same strategy as before. And use my little headband strips. So here is one of these headbands. So let's go ahead and saturate. Pull it out. I'm just trying to make sure I don't keep it too liquidy here. And I was going for trying to match this color that I've got up here on the headstock. It looks like I'm gonna have to just ditch the alcohol mixture. I think it's diluting it a little too much. Definitely seems to be. So I'm going to go ditch this diluted mixture and use just the plain dye. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so clean that out. And we're just gonna do, doesn't take much, just a splash of my dye in here. Oh man, I just got dye all over my hands. Whoops. Well, that's gonna be fun to clean off later. Note to self, wear 2 gloves. I'm going to use, because this has been saturated with that denatured alcohol, it'll probably just dilute the paint again, or the dye again. So I'm going to go ahead and chop me off another little strip here. So same as usual, saturated then squeezed out. Yeah, that's definitely what I needed, nice and dark there. Yep, I should have just done it that way in the first place, but hey, just kind of winging it and learning as I go on some of this stuff, so now I know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Some of y'all will get that and some of y'all won't, and that's okay. All right, so there we go. That's definitely more what I was going for. There's a nice dark contrast on those horns. Just gives more definition, and I'll show once I let that dry and pull the tape. That'll be my next step, is letting it dry, pulling the tape, and then I'll show y'all the next little bit of it. So once again, I'm gonna pause the video, let it dry, and then I'll show y'all what it looks like when the tape comes off. All right, so I've let the dye dry just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't take super long since I'm not using much. And as you can see, if you just look and see how much more defined the contours are on that body now, the darkness of the wood on that those horn pieces really lets the curvature of the horns show through, which is exactly what I was going for. So the shape is just a little more defined. That's pretty much exactly what I was going for, so I'm happy with that. At this point, I'm just going to let everything kind of sit fully dry, especially that most recent coating I just did of the leather dye. I'm just going to let it sit overnight, let everything dry, and the next step is going to be the final finishing process, which will be where I actually take my finishing oil and start oiling the body for the final finish, which is exciting because that means we're almost done. Once the oil finish is done, that's pretty much everything, and then we can install the hardware and have a guitar. So pretty excited about that. But anyway, that's it for this one. Thank y'all for watching.